Welcome back to Midas Letter Live. My guest in this segment here is none other than Mike Blady, CEO of Golden Ridge Resources, who announced yesterday a incredible, we're going to call that a discovery hole, Mike, if we can.
Yes, you may.
327 meters, grading 0.31% copper, 0.35 grams per ton gold, 1.94 grams per ton silver. There's additional holes coming, and that's why I just bought another 100,000 shares out of the market right now. Just saying. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm telling you what I'm doing and why. So Mike, what's the deal here? What kind of discovery is this?
James, Ed, it's always nice to see you guys when I come through Toronto again. So thanks for welcoming me back. I guess I had some good timing. We had news out, so it's always...
You thought you planned it this way.
It makes me a little bit more interesting when there's news, I guess.
I feel like there's a little more demand for your presence.
Yeah, your discourse.
Been working hard up in the Golden Triangle. This is our third year of pretty extensive work that we've done up there. Last year we made a discovery, the Williams Zone at surface, but all we had was in situ rock samples. We didn't have any drill core or anything like that. It was geophysics, geochem, and some good old-fashioned hand stripping and hand trenching to get down to the bedrock. So we put news out on that late last year, and no one really batted an eyelid. Then we went back this year, and our first drill hole, we made a discovery. We had that nice intercept that you talked about.
Viewers should know that Mike's a geologist, just saying.
Yeah, among other things.
Among other things, but the fact that he's a
geologist is all you need to know for today. Exactly.
You know, just to add to the veracity of our discussion.
This is serious business.
Just saying.
So, Mike, like when you say a discovery, just because we're going to assume that a large part of our audience is smoking a lot of cannabis and probably is not conversant with mining terms. So what exactly constitutes a discovery?
Well, in my mind, a discovery is something that's previously unknown, and exactly what it is, previously unknown, and then when you discover it, it has potentially mineral that's economic or ore grade or potentially
or body size, like it.
Yeah, it has, you know, the size, potential grade, and previously was unknown about.
Right.
In my mind, that's a discovery, right? Some people might call it a showing until you can prove it's actually economic, but I think it's a discovery because, as we know, metal prices fluctuate drastically. So one day it could be economic, one day it could not be economic.
Right. In which case, care and maintenance.
Yeah.
So in this context, essentially what you've done is drilled 327 meters, which for our U.S. friends is over 1,000 feet of mineralization that contains an average grade of 0.3% copper. Now, you've got, if we were to look at the other charts here, or sorry, this map that is going to be on the screen in 4.
There we go.
1 second. So you've got other holes at the lab.
We do, yes. So we have been drilling. One rig has been basically dedicated to the Williams Zone this year. The other rig is across the valley at the epithermal targets we were drilling last year, so the lower alteration zone.
This is the lower alteration?
No, this is the Williams Zone.
Oh.
Williams Zone is the new discovery.
Okay.
Lower alteration zone is old. It's been there a long time. That was discovered by Black Minerals.
There's also an upper alteration zone.
There is an upper alteration zone.
There's three areas now.
And then we've added a fourth conceptual target called the boiling zone.
Boiling.
Which is in between the lower alteration zone and the upper alteration zone.
Is that where you boil the water for your coffee?
The boiling refers to epithermal systems are normally very close to surface when they form. And what happens is these very hot mineral-rich fluids, as they come up from depth, there's a certain point when the pressure is low enough that the water turns to vapor. And that's called the boiling zone. And normally in the boiling zone, what happens there is you got a lot of precipitation of metals. And depending on what
water evaporates, leaving the metals, and they...
Correct. The metals can't evaporate. They can't fly away like the water molecules do. So they're in place there in the rock, right? So the boiling zone specifically refers to the temperature, the point where the gold is most likely to
Sure.
precipitate or
copper or...
This is in specific reference to gold, because
Okay.
if you look at the boiling zone
Okay.
diagram of the map of the entire property, it's an area about 500 meters in diameter of 5 grams gold in soil or higher, which is extremely anomalous.
Okay.
That's, up there with...
So the discovery is the hole designated 1. That's the discovery.
Correct, and that's in the Williams zone.
And
Yeah.
that's in the Williams.
Yeah.
That's where that's the
Yeah.
copper area.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're expecting you're going to release in a news release when the lab is done with them 3 additional holes from this zone, and then the rest are across the valley, or that's where you're drilling next.
There's 2 drills.
2 drills. So one's focusing on the Williams.
Right.
I believe we're going to drill 8 holes there at least.
8 more holes.
No,
8
hole.
total.
8
Okay.
total, and you've drilled 4 now?
We've drilled at least 6 now.
okay,
There might
so-
have been one more. So we
so
we
this-
have
this-
about 2 more to go.
So looking at the
The
map,
map's a little outdated then, this map.
This map was, made last week. So we have a new PowerPoint that's,
Last
that's
so it's only 1 week old?
Well, we
don't
drilled quick.
consider that outdated.
we drill quick up there. So we've
Yeah.
updated the PowerPoint.
Okay.
If it hasn't been uploaded to the website yet, it will be today for sure. And basically it shows all of the drill holes we have done to date on a plan map
Okay.
for people. So where we're at is I believe we're on hole number 13 now total out of the 6,000 meter program.
Okay.
That's
And
what you budgeted? You budgeted a
6,000 meters.
okay.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we're on hole 13, and we're I believe about
And how and are
80,
these holes,
75 to 80% complete the drilling program.
did this hole end in ore when you drilled it, the 327, or did it stop and then you drilled further?
Yeah, it was still mineralized. Yeah.
So in all
Okay.
these holes, is the mineralization you're running into the bornite?
Yeah. So normally the system that we're in, the porphyry system, it has a phyllic alteration zone around it, which is very close to the potassic core, and the phyllic normally has a lot of QSP alteration, a lot of clay. It is also mineralized, but it's normally less mineralized than the monzonite, right?
Okay.
And then once we get into the monzonite, and when you start seeing boronite, that's a sign that you're close to the high temperature core of the system.
The boiling zone.
No, the boiling zone's epithermal. So I don't want to have to break.
Damn, I thought I was.
You and I should go get our degree in geology, I think.
That would take too long.
Oh,
There would be a geological time commitment.
wonder-
So in a textbook, basically, when you go back to school and get your guys' geology degrees, they'll show you a diagram of a porphyry system. And normally how porphyries work is they form a couple kilometers deep in the earth at minimum, right? And then there's another area of mesothermal gold, which is kind of in between porphyry and epithermal. And then epithermal is normally within about 500 meters to the surface, right? So epithermal and the boiling zone is one thing. 2 kilometers down, there's so much pressure and the temperature's so high, there's no boiling going on there. It's fluid because of the pressure, right?
pressure
it
prevents
can't
it
boil.
from
Correct. It
bubbling
cannot boil.
away. I
But
get
once
that.
it gets close, within a few hundred meters of the surface,
Yeah.
there's enough, the surface pressure and the cracks and
Sure.
gaps in the rock, it's able to expand and it's able to boil, right? So the boiling zone is only epithermal. It's only to the south of the Williams zone, across
Right,
the
right.
creek. Yes. Yeah.
Now, I see
Interesting.
we're looking at some information about world-class porphyry zones in
Well, we
Europe.
can't find a good enough image, so we're not going to bother. This is sort of geology 101.
what's
But
the-
let's look at what the discovery has done for your share price and talk about that.
Okay. Yeah.
So you announced the discovery here. Stock started moving here. I suspect this is drillers buying or something. Well, it was me buying.
You know, what's funny is we had a really nice run up kind of at the beginning of July when we started drilling.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, it seemed like the whole market softened. Obviously, at that time, we were...
Summer doldrums, perhaps.
Yeah,
Skoka fever.
I thought we were going to kind of hang out around the 20-cent range and then put out news and then see if the market liked it or not, whether stock went up and down. But I was actually up at the project the whole time when it started cratering there. So I guess maybe I wasn't doing my public service duty to the shareholders and answering calls and keeping people informed. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what's the deepest hole you're going to drill in the Williams?
Deepest hole we've drilled to date there is 603.5 meters.
Okay.
Hole 13, which we're drilling now, hopefully we're going to push the limits of this drill and try and set a new depth record at the Hank.
Whoa.
So
It gets
that's exciting.
The lower you go, the rock gets a lot more dense, doesn't it?
well, it's not so much the density. The problem is the drill has powered by a motor. And the motor only has so much horsepower.
Well, maybe
so,
we need to get extra on.
That's what I was just thinking.
So
Hey.
So every time you're adding on more drill string, which is heavy metal, that it's harder and harder for that motor to turn the bit that's way down on the end of it.
Right,
So
right.
eventually, you know, you don't have enough horsepower to keep drilling. And normally what happens with these is they're the Hydrocore 2000, so they're designed to go to about 2,000 feet of depth, right? So once you get past that, the drilling slows down a lot, and
So
it becomes very
feet,
expensive.
600 meters roughly.
Roughly, yeah. So it becomes cost prohibitive after that. You can keep drilling, but you know, if the rod gets stuck or something jams or you have to pull the rod string, it takes the drillers a long time. And yeah, if you get the rod stuck down there and you can't get it out, guess who's on the hook to buy all new rod string? Not the drillers, the companies. So we try not to get the drill string stuck. Yeah, the shareholders. Correct.
Which you are probably the largest shareholder of this company.
Which I'm a large shareholder of.
And do you know how many shares you own of this, or what percentage of this?
To be honest, I don't really off the top, but you know, a few
10%?
million. So not quite that high.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
So when can we expect more drill results?
So we have, you know, assays kind of trickling in now. So we obviously have to get the next entire hole and we have to QAQC it and make sure it's all tickety-boo, and the lab's been holding up their end of the bargain. So
You don't own the lab.
no, we do not own the lab.
That's
we do not own the lab.
Oh, not bad. I own the drills, I own the lab, I own the holes.
Vertical integration.
Vertical integration.
There you go.
And in the drilling business.
Yeah,
That's
and
easy to understand.
Maybe have a reporting service that describes things and maybe throws out hints once in a while.
You should buy IROC.
Are they for sale?
And then put it out of business.
And own the TMX while you're at it. Exactly. All the stocks would go up.
Now, would you ever release partial assays, or would you? Is that frowned upon? That's bad practice, isn't it?
We wouldn't. I think it's important, especially if you're drilling a large kind of bulk tonnage target, to get the full picture and the full scope. I think if we just did like the first 100 meters and we're like, oh, we're just starting to get into it at the end of the hole, I think that can be misleading for people. So we do at least one entire hole at a time. Looks like we hopefully will have 2 holes complete at the same time from the lab. That's what we're pushing them to do.
So you're going to have 2 holes done for the next. You're thinking that.
Hopefully, yeah. We're still waiting for it to trickle in, and then we have a procedure for our QAQC that, you know, if certain samples are over limit or certain samples are, you know, ore grade, they call it at the lab, we have to do extra testing on them. So that can sometimes delay the results coming out a little bit, because even if our lab's turning it around in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then we get the results back and we're like, oh, look at that, this one's over limit, this one's over limit, this one over limit. Okay. Then we have to resend it back to them, or they take the pulp that they already have and they have to reanalyze it.
So best case scenario, when will we see some more results published in a press release?
I love how you put me on the spot.
I mean,
why is Mike sweating all of a sudden?
Exactly.
I'm actually, this is the coolest I've been all day. This is great.
Assuming nothing goes sideways, the QAQC happens. When do we see more results?
Couple weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. All right, we're going to leave it there, Mike, for now.
Thank you very much. Well, never mind.
No, by all means, you have another question.
You said these things are numbered chronologically as they're drilled.
Yeah.
So the next hole is number 2, which is on the Williams.
Correct.
And 3 and 4 are in the lower alteration.
Correct. And then 5's back in the
So
Williams.
if we go-
well, sorry, the Kite zone, not technically the lower alteration. It's a new zone we discovered last year. We
So
drilled.
theoretically, we should get number 2 next.
2 and 3.
3 and
Yeah, hopefully 2 and 3. Yeah.
okay.
So
But
2 and
3
3.
is
So what happened is we have 2 drills going this year.
yeah.
The second drill was a little bit late getting up there. The drillers were kind of slow getting up there.
Yeah.
And then we had some initial mechanical problems. So that's why the first couple holes were on the Williams zone and then kind of jumps around.
Okay,
But
well,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. That's great. So it looks like, stay tuned.
Everything's running smoothly up there now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.